Alright guys, we are going to work on the stems and the shadow today. So we know this is the dark side. Okay, your shadows are going to be back this way. And we're going to work on the stem. For the stem, you're going to need your green, you're going to need yellow, and you're going to need some form of brown. Okay, so I'm just sharpening mine up so that I have those ready for you. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shade. I'm going to go over my lines a little bit, but I don't want to make them really dark. I'm just going to make them a little bit. I just want to make sure we can see them. Alright. Okay. I'm just going to shade this whole thing going up towards the top of the stem. Light green. I'm not going to shade this part here because that's going to actually be more yellow. I'll probably mix green in there, but if you've ever broken the stem of a pumpkin, it's not as green on that inside part. Okay, just to give it that. I'm going to go in here. For any of these, see how it curves out there? This is where the brightest area is going to be. And also this side, because this side's our dark side. So this right here, I want that to stand out. So I'm just kind of adding in my yellow. Same thing right here. Okay. When I go back in with the brown and then green over top, it's going to make a lot more sense. But let me get out my brown. Just do a little test scribble. I think that brown would probably be a good brown. Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm just kind of going in and adding some of the brown in the areas that would be like your darker areas. And that's going to be the spots kind of in between the points. I know right now it looks a little strange, but remember we are going to go back in this area with our green. Okay. Just kind of add this in. It's just to kind of give it definition so that it doesn't look like it's all one texture or one shape. Alright, so that's given us some definition. You're not really seeing much of that, but now I'm going to go in with my green, and this is where I'm going to kind of shade with my green where it's going to be darker in those dark areas and lighter in the lighter areas. Sorry, my daughter is in class and the teacher just started talking, so. Alright, so going in here. And if you notice, because of adding that brown in, see how it's really starting to define it? It's really starting to look more realistic. When you first add the brown in, it's going to look weird, and you're going to think, oh no, I just messed the whole thing up. Now it looks like a striped stem. But just be patient. A lot of the times with artworks, remember, sometimes you're going to hate your artwork before you love it. You just have to be patient and keep working on it. Don't give up, because when you give up, that's when, you know, there's no fixing it. If you continue to work on it, you know, you might hate your artwork at one point, but eventually it will turn out looking nice. So as you can see, this looks like a realistic stem now. I am going to go into this portion here, which is, you know, the basically hollowed out inside. And go in with some of the green around the edge of it. And that's pretty much it for the one stem. Okay, so let's do the same thing for this one. First, I'm seeing a little bit of orange that kind of bled into my stem over here. So I need to find my eraser. Here it is. I'm going to erase that out real quick. And notice that you'll still be able to see it. You can't really fully erase color pencils, but you can get some of the color to go. Something happened to my paper too. I don't know if it's possible my dog could have went up stepping on it or scratching on it if I left it on the couch. I don't know. But there's like a little kind of pull in the paper, I guess you could say. I'm erasing this, the orange that bled into the background. Because one thing that you want to do is you want to keep your artwork looking neat and clean. You don't want to see a lot of bends in your papers. You don't want to see a lot of pulls in the paper where something sharp drug across it, or Alright. Okay. On to the next stem. So again, you're going to take the green and you're going to lightly color in your entire stem. Okay, and now I'm going to take my brown and I'm going to start shading in the dark areas. Now see, like last time I started with the yellow, you can start either way. Just if you are going to go with your brown, don't go too heavy until you have the chance to put in some of your lights too, because you don't want to wind up going too dark and then realize, oh oops, I didn't leave space for my yellow. Okay, so this is the darker side, so it's going to have more dark. Okay. Alright, let's go back in with our yellow. In these highlighted areas. I forgot some brown in this area right here. Okay, highlight, highlight. Highlight. And as of right now, in this stage, I think it looks bad. Okay, so it goes along with what I was saying before, that a lot of the times you're going to kind of hate your artwork before you love it. So this stage is never my favorite stage, where it's got like such harsh darks and no blending. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to take my green and go over top of it all, and that's really going to help blend it so that it's not like brown and yellow striped or brown and yellow green striped. It'll instead look like the stem is green with some shadows and maybe like some areas where it's starting to turn brown because it's been separated from the vine for a while. And now I like it. You know, for you guys, some of these areas don't look very dark, so it doesn't look like it has much depth to it, but in person I guess it looks a little bit more so. Sometimes it doesn't always translate completely over video. Okay, so now the last portion that I want to do real quick, I don't have that much space that is going to be the shadow area, so I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do. Okay, this is the purple that I'm going to use. It's, you know, a pretty dark purple. So if this is where the light source is coming from, because as you can tell by where my shading is, okay, it's a little bit kind of skewed to the one side, but I'm going to give myself a curved line coming from my pumpkin and a curved line. Actually, let's make this one go up a little higher from right about there. Okay. So now, in between the pumpkins is going to be the darkest because that, like, there's absolutely no light going to get in. Okay, so you can kind of go in between those pumpkins, make it nice and dark. Other than that, right up against your pumpkins is going to be the darkest area. Now, whether you decide to go for blue, like a dark blue, or your dark purple, that's up to you. The only thing I would say is sometimes it looks a little bit better if after you do your shadow and really focus on getting that done, you can lightly shade the rest of it, so as if we're looking at a table. Another thing that'll flatten this out is if you shade it kind of, shade it kind of horizontally, because that'll help with, you know, the right up against your, sorry, I'm having issues with my color pencil. Point broke, and then now it doesn't want to stay sharp. Alright, let's hopefully that'll do it. Nope. This happens, guys. A lot of the times what it means is the lead is broken inside your pencil. You notice it a lot more with your cheaper color pencils, but these are actually pretty good color pencils. It just means that it either I accidentally slammed it against something and it broke on the inside, or it could have come from the factory like that, who knows. But if you notice that you're getting it over and over and over again, you know, you may have to switch pencils. I don't want to, because of the fact that when you do that, you can tell the two different tones that you're using, so it's not going to look 100% the way you want it to. This pencil's just going to be like a little nub by the time I'm done. Alright, your color's going to be darkest right up against your pumpkins, and it's going to get lighter as it goes out. Try not to press too hard because I don't want to break my pencil again. So it's going to be all about putting a lot of layers of color on top of it so that it gets to the darkness I need it to. Okay. Notice I'm keeping like an even stroke with the pencil though. I'm not scribbling, even though I am going kind of fast. Don't color fast if you can't color evenly. If you're doing the shading and it starts looking like scribbling, then you're not just adding value, you're adding like texture. And right now I'm trying to go for a smooth texture for the table. I don't want it to look like there's digs in the table and things like that. So I'm just going for kind of a smooth, even texture, which is another reason why I also have my sketchbook underneath, because if I did this right on top of my table, it would start to pick up the wood grain of the table. And I'm not looking for that for this because I don't want anything really to take away from my pumpkins. I want them to be kind of the focus, so. I'm getting tired of this color pencil though. Okay. So see, we're making progress. And now that it's getting farther out from the pumpkins, it doesn't need to have to be quite as dark. It needs to be really dark right up against here. But as it comes out, I can start to use the edge of my pencil, and that will also help to not break my pencil quite as much, because I'm able. Now, I don't want this outline. See how that's outlined? I do not want that to stay. So I've got two options. Either my shading has to get up to that darkness, or I have to erase out that line a little bit so that it's not quite as dark. Now you can see also where I didn't erase the orange that was on the bottom, it starts to get a little muddy. So over here it's going to kind of get more brownish purple because of all the orange that smeared, but I don't really have time to blend it out right now because I'm supposed to be starting class. So darken this in. Almost done, guys. Usually I recommend not going a different direction because, as you can see, it kind of looks a little scribbly when you do that. You really got to kind of blend it out in order so that it doesn't continue to look scribbly. Alright, almost done. One last little bit. Alright, and like I said over here, I don't want this to look like an outline. So what I'm going to have to do, so that it doesn't, try to erase some of that pencil mark and then go back over this area. Alright. And go over this right here, and then we're done. Alright, so like I said, you guys can go back in and add a little bit of your purple over top of this area back here, which I probably will before I post the picture of the artwork. But that's about it. If you have any other questions, you can send me an email.